right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Thank you once again for your company. Right now, I'm here with my next guest. His name is Paul Thandi, and he's a life coach. And we want to talk about how to commit again. Okay, so whether you had this plan, there's a project you were working on, maybe things went bust and they didn't work out too well and you stopped on it. We want to know, how do we pick ourselves up and keep moving forward? That's what we're going to be discussing very shortly. But I also see your SMSs here. Someone here is saying, I'm enjoying the show, though I didn't get to know how to join in the Red Cross. We touched on that. They're in 47 counties across the country. You can visit their website, the Red Cross website, and you can also visit their local county offices to be part or just to sign up as a volunteer. Okay, so hopefully that answers you on that question. But with that said, Paul Thandi, karibu sana to the coach, the show. He is a life coach.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back here.
It's good to have
you.
It's good to have me.
All right, so tuseme tu kweli ni December.
Ni December.
Tulianza
Resolution mtu wangu hii zilifika katikati. But you see, we are animals of habits.
Yeah.
And I think it's failure that shapes us more than success.
Now that is a life coaching thing to say. Yes, I'll take it, because I really want to know how many of you out there have actually achieved you're on track.
Just half.
Even if it's half,
yes,
right?
Yes.
How many of you either you've done half or you think you're on track to achieve all of the resolutions and the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year? Akikani wewe, I just love to know nikupigie makofi. 22999 is the SMS line. Now usidanganye, sema tu ukweli, be honest with yourself if you're actually on track, okay? Let me know. But you're right. I guess we're humans. We fail, we fall.
Yes.
And maybe that's part of life. That's
true,
part of the learning too.
I think the challenge is not the failing. The challenge is how do you take it from there?
Right.
Because consistency is not something easy to joke with.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to say my consistency has been on point. I started a podcast last year, October the 7th. And as of last week, I've recorded 57 episodes.
Good for you.
So every week I've done besides 2 weeks.
Good to
But
know.
it's not easy. So as you said, I think the quote you started with really matters on this discussion. The question is, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Because if the motivation that is pushing you has an end, then whatever you're doing has an end.
Yeah.
If you're targeting to hit 60 kgs, then you'll hit 60 kgs.
Right.
So after that, what happens?
Yeah.
Do you want to cut to it, or do you want a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah.
Do you want to start a project, or do you want to create a cycle of how you do things?
Right.
Because most of us, what we do is we pick an activity, we pick a goal, and then we put a date on it. But we don't work on what is the daily step towards it. How do I contribute towards that goal every single day? How do I connect my daily routine, my weekly habits and targets to be able to be in a position and say, actually this week on this day at this specific time I do ABCD. I think that's the only way we can be able to bring the goals we've set closer.
And actually, you know what? I think it would be a good idea to actually bring back our quote for the day, because you even referenced it yourself.
Yes.
And maybe that can get on our screens shortly as we continue, and the team can let me know. But there's a lot of people who they started off the right way, and I like what you're saying, that it's not about the failure itself, but it's about picking yourself up and trying again. Okay, so do we have that quote? Hopefully we can get that in a few, but it was by Albert Einstein, and he said, if you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things.
Exactly.
And there are people who perhaps did exactly that, and they put in the effort, they put in their time, their energy, their strength, and then things don't work out.
Precisely.
And I know we're here saying, pick yourself up and try again, but it can be really devastating.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
People have invested money, they've invested relationships, they've invested time. What are your tips about recovering from that? How do you actually stand up and try again?
I think the first thing is statusing. Because you were a different person when you were setting the goals before you failed. And so you're a different person now as you've failed, and your priorities have changed over time. But you see, it's not the goal that changes, it's the means to get there. You fell sick, you lost a job, the person you're working with as a partner in the project jumped out of it. You just got disillusioned. Sometimes we want to push ourselves so hard that we want to be this perfect person. And sometimes the issue is you just need a break on that. So statusing is the first place. Where am I in life?
Okay.
Why do I have the kind of results I have? So if you're able to put those two into perspective, then that tells you where your next step should be. What will you start with? Let's say beginning of the year you had, 15 things you wanted to do. And we are now in December. So you have exactly 3 weeks to go, because let's call them 2 weeks, yeah?
Yeah.
Because the other weeks will be
as soon as Jamhuri
back
Day
to
in
back,
Africa, Kenya will shut down. Anyway, yeah, so basically 2
Yeah,
weeks.
so the question is, now that you're here, what is more important that is left to be done?
Yeah.
And can you try not to see life caged to, I would say, seasons? Is there one thing that you can consistently do no matter where you are? Because at the core of it, Joyce, what makes us fail is, how do we get things done?
Yeah.
Simply that.
Yeah.
For example, let's say you want to compose 7 songs this year. Let's say that was your goal.
Yeah.
So the question is not the composition. The question is, what is the process of composing? Do you have a where, when, and how? Because if you just set a goal, you've not worked on the environment. Where will I be? The second
Wow.
thing, you've just arrived, you don't know what you're supposed to do, so you need to pre-plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. The third thing is, when I get there, how long am I supposed to do this? For example, most of the time when you're setting a goal and when you want to do things, you have enablers, things that you want to work with, right? So I need a laptop, I need airtime, data, I need this, I need that. And you'll find that after some time you actually have everything, but you cannot execute it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So you wake up early in the
Been
morning,
there.
you've actually fought so hard, you woke up at 5 and you seated there. And you know what happens? You start decluttering your table. Before you set up the laptop, you taka upeleke nje and all those things. By the time you're sitting down, you've wasted something we call the willpower. You see that drive you wake up and do something with? You don't wake up to plan to execute. You wake up to execute.
So you have to have planned before.
Before you get to bed, what are you going to do tomorrow when you wake up? Don't have a list of more than 4 things.
Not more than 4.
Not more than 4 things. Because my podcast is titled Power Hour, and it's about personal leadership. And what I say about Power Hour is a deliberate focus time within 24 hours to do one thing that is going to impact your tomorrow. So most of the time people say don't have time. And I ask you, can you afford 25 minutes before your alarm time? I think you can afford that. Take a picture of this. If since the last Valentine's, you've been working for about 25 minutes every day, by today you'll have hit about quite a number of hours.
Yeah.
So the time is there. The formula of how you do things is the issue. So
Okay.
if you have 25 minutes today morning and you do something, you leave it halfway. So you leave a comma. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, the consistency has been created. I have to be on my desk 25 minutes before my alarm time. I'll be doing these 2 things, specifically these 2 things. Because when you hit that door, hardly will you be able to get time to do other things.
Yeah.
Traffic happened, job happened.
So that's a very
Ulimalizia kazi
practical
sijui
way
what.
of
Yes,
looking
yes,
at things.
yes, yes.
So even with our goals, it's not just about saying, "Oh, I want to lose weight."
Yeah.
You need to think, how are you
How?
going to lose
Exactly
the weight?
how. And the big tire up there is our quote for the day. What drives you? Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do the 7 songs?
Yeah.
What do they mean to
Why
you?
do you even want to lose weight?
Yes.
Is it for a person?
Exactly.
Is it just for a dress? You know, it needs to be bigger than
Yes,
that.
it has to be on the bigger part of it. Why do we want to do a podcast every single week, recording something for, every Thursday I have to do that? Because I want to duplicate my message to the world. And that is bigger than anything else. And that makes it easier for my coaching because I don't have to go through sessions with people, something that I would have pre-created
I see.
and just tell you go to episode ABCD and this is how it will solve it. So
Right.
it's a bigger tie on top there. But when you lack that and you're doing, as you're saying, Nani moved to a certain environment, I need to move. Has a new clothes, has knees, has this. So when you get them,
Then
so
what? And they've moved on to the
So
next
that's
one.
where you stall up with this and you're like, "Ai, tumbo yangu nitakata tu," you know.
Let's talk about the finding a mentor.
Yeah.
Is it necessary, do you need a mentor for each specific goal in your life, or is it more of just looking at an overall person
Yeah.
to just be accountable
Yeah,
to?
yeah.
Because some people feel like I have to have a mentor for business, mentor for marriage,
Yeah.
mentor for networking, mentor for career, right? But that can be overwhelming.
Yes,
and so
it can
you
be.
can literally spend your time being mentored
Mentored.
and you're not applying
Actually doing it, I
anything.
would say. Mentorship, this has always been my opinion. You don't need one mentor, but you don't need mentors for every goal. You need mentors for areas of your life. You see? So if you can have an area of your life and put it as wide as possible, and then you don't need more than 3 mentors, just to be very frank, because listen, your input into life determines your output.
Yeah.
So if you have 17 people giving you an opinion about your life, so
It's
who are
true.
you?
You'd be confused.
Who are you as a person? Because you
Yeah.
have so many identities that you're competing with.
True.
And one of the biggest mentor you need to have is yourself. Why is that
Interesting.
important? Every Sunday, I purpose to do something. I call it the Summit Day. And what I do is I ask myself, where do I have the results I have this week? How am I? Are you
Hey,
okay,
Paul,
Paul?
so
You
you're
know?
disciplined. Ati, why do I have the results I have this
Yeah,
week?
yeah.
Wow.
Most people, we are more kinder with other people. We are more sympathetic with other people. We want to be there for them. We want to, dig down and find the pain that is, putting them where they are. And that is okay. But how often do we do that for ourselves? When was the last time you sat down and asked yourself, how am I? I'm broke. I'm in pain. I've lost. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. I'm angry. I am actually don't talk to anybody. So why? If you create that relationship with yourself, even when you failed, you'll have a voice that will bring you back, because you'll be like, you know what, Paul? We've not worked out for the last 3 months,
Yeah.
And you know what we're gonna do? We'll start with just run for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow we can add a minute every time we run. So we can do 6 minutes later. And
Wow.
when you've not done it for 2 weeks, so that relationship with yourself is actually a big fuel. It actually determines how you can be able to
I think Paul needs to give us these tips when we come back from the break.
Yeah.
Maze, ati discipline. So you basically discipline, consistency,
Yes. And
Hey.
intra-relationship is
and
very, very important.
like relating with
With
yourself.
yourself.
Me, I just need to know how you're doing those things. I want to hear practical tips when I come back. Maze, December imefika. We can't be doing this in 2020. Ama
Yeah.
namna gani? Anyway, we're going to take
In
a
less than
short
30
break.
days, yeah.
We're going to take a short break and then we'll be back with Paul as we continue with this discussion. This is Full Circle with Joyce. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. We're just down to the wire here, but before we wrap up for the day, I'm still here with Paul Thandie, a life coach, as we're talking about how to pick up the pieces and, move forward and to commit again after maybe you've not accomplished what you had set out to do. Now, very quickly, within the time we have left, we want to just touch on a couple things here, but I also see your SMSs and feedback coming in. Someone here saying, hey, Joyce, do you have a program whereby people living positive meet and interact? I'm supposing you mean like HIV positive. I'm not aware of a program like that, but should we find one out, we can let you know. Kemi says, hey Joyce, challenges make us strong. They make us to show the hidden potential in us, even when heartbroken. Collect the broken pieces and move on. Certainly a good pointer right there. Alan says, hey Joyce, I had around 5 resolutions for this year, but it's funny, I've only achieved one of them. And I'm sure many people can empathize with that. But to Kemi's point here, that challenges do make us strong, right? And so we need to be at a point where we start looking at our failures not as like an end, but as a stepping stone, as like, okay, so all it's showing is that that particular option or that design, that model, that style does not work for what you're trying to achieve. Let's try something else. And so how important is it then to assess ourselves, especially after things have not gone the way we want them to do? Because also sisi wa Kristo tena tunaanza kubind shetani, tunasema shetani ashindwe, sijui ni nani anashindwa, nani alifanya nini, na kumbe maybe there's also things that we na tumeokoka bado, Yesu ni Bwana, but we need to assess ourselves.
True. I think that goes to the last point you had before we took a break. Most of the time, the reason we will write down why we didn't do things is because we are not frank with ourselves. You cannot cheat yourself. So if you have a relationship with yourself, you'll say, actually, the reason I didn't achieve goal number 3 It's just because I'm lazy. So how do I get from laziness?
Yeah.
You know, how do I get to specific time?
Yeah.
I think for me, the most progressive way of assessing yourself is looking at yourself through different phases throughout the year.
Okay.
This year you've seen many things, Joyce. You've been through different emotional plateaus. You've been through different financial plateaus. You've been different places in your career. And your evaluation should be like what they do in finances, you know. Cap it according to that season.
Okay.
And ask yourself, how better would I have performed if things were different? You
Yeah.
know? So that's the reason I have this kind of results. Number two, you need to have an edge, you know. I can't go beyond this. And that still comes from you yourself as a person. Where do you stand? Where is your relationship? How strong are you within yourself? There are things that there are no goes on for you. There are things that you can't do as a person. So those are your principles. And how do you instill these principles? Over time. Keep doing it over and over even when you fail. And the next thing is, as you assess yourself, you need to plan the next thing. As much as all this has happened, there's still pieces in between there that are still important.
Yeah.
So what is it, out of all things I didn't do, what can I conjure out? And I said that these 4 things, these 2 things, regardless of what, I'll find a different way to do them, you know, come 2020, because that's where we're heading to. Yeah. So
Okay.
assessing yourself is important, but knowing where you were when this happened,
Yeah.
and maybe at the heart of it, how do you get things done as a person?
Yeah.
I think that will be quite important.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want us to talk about now like practical steps, like a practical plan for us
Yeah.
to Jume to challenge sana. Discipline is very important. I think
Yeah.
with whichever goal you're setting, whether you want to start a business, to lose weight, to be a better singer, to I don't know,
Yeah.
whichever goal you're setting, discipline absolutely important, and that consistency. They're just those I guess are life principles that all of us need to master, and it's a journey. Let's also not be too hard on ourselves. It's a journey to. I don't know if there's anybody who says I'm perfectly consistent or
Hardly.
I'm perfectly
Yeah,
disciplined.
yeah.
And so I'm going to read some feedback, and then we're
Okay.
just going to coalesce all of this together as we
Okay,
look at
okay.
that practical
Yeah, yeah,
action step. So someone here says, Mimi hapana tambua resolutions because I'm still young na bado sijapata job. Kwanza resolution yangu ni 12th na 31st December this year. Ati Joyce aniambie mimi na my mom happy birthday. Yeah, haiwezi kuwa resolution. That's Iman James. But anyway, as you answer,
Yeah.
this thing about Ati, I don't have resolutions because I don't have a job, or that I'm still young. What do you have to say to that?
Working on yourself is a lot of work, Joyce. And you can agree it's a progressive work. The job that you're trying to get, who will hire you in that job? What kind of a person I am? Gaithumo was from here telling us, you know, how you're supposed to create your profile and stuff like that. There's so much work before you even get to a job. There's
Yeah.
yourself, there's fitness, there's a social life, there's how you network, there's how you create a profile.
Right.
It's endless. And let me tell the young people one thing categorically. You are in an incubator.
Yeah.
Joyce, if today you wanted to study something new, you go back to your pocket. You have to budget for time.
Yeah.
But you seated there because you don't have a job, you have a house where you sleep, eat, drink, and maybe there's Wi-Fi and some airtime for you. It's an incubator. What are
Yeah.
you doing with it?
Do
Because
something.
time is going to push you out of that
That's true.
place.
And your 20s, you know, your
Your
youth is going to
20s,
go
yes.
and you're going to regret
Why not
not
study a
using
new
it.
skill?
Absolutely.
Why not try to come up,
Learn
volunteer
a
like we
language.
say today?
Volunteer. Yes, you were talking
yes.
about volunteering.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely
True,
important.
true, true.
Okay. Philista Mwadime watching from Nairobi says, very true. Our input in life is important and mentoring should start with oneself. One can be advised by several people, but the decision is made by the self,
True.
and the decision can affect one positively or negatively. You believe in self-mentoring as well, discipline and self-motivation, and you're a mentor yourself. You mentor of yourself before being mentored by another person. And so you say you concur with Thandi. Excellent SMS there. Thank you for that. Let me turn to Facebook very quickly. Mwangi Washamata says, enjoying the discussion. I've not fulfilled all of my resolutions and I'm feeling bad because of failing to accomplish the goals I had set. How do I ensure that coming next year, that feeling of failure is eliminated? And then Iman James also asks, is it a must for someone to have New Year resolutions? This is the same guy who was talking about not having a job, right? So is it a must for having resolutions? What is one word you would advise the person that hana plan, yani hana resolution? Lazima ukuwe na plan. As you wrap up all those with the practical plan.
I want to start with, you know, picking yourself up, There's a concept I call guilt commitments now. And what this happens is you look at the pile of what you've not done. And when you look at that, you don't have energy to start again because you feel incompetent to do it. But look at it this way. If you status yourself and know why you've not done the things you've done, then that mountain goes down.
Okay.
So you have to start with that.
Okay.
Where am I right now? Why didn't I do the things I had planned to do? People are willing to sit down and watch a series that is about 17 hours, 20 hours.
Yeah.
But sitting down with yourself, what I tell you do on Sundays, it takes 15 minutes, Joyce.
Yeah.
It's just 15 minutes. So when you sit down with yourself, how genuine are you? And what happens with this snare is it blocks your mind. Anytime you want to commit to something, you're like, but I didn't do anything.
Wow.
But you have the ability. Remember, the only thing that didn't happen is the activity. But you have the ability. And because you sat down and wrote those things, it means you're smart to start with. And for those that have started and failed, it means you have the intentions. Because those that didn't even try, they can't talk about failing.
Where? So
You
hear
get
him
it?
to have failed because it
Hear him
shows
to
you
a
did something.
majaribu for sure, because now you'll understand I don't work well with mornings, so I think when I plan next year, I'll try to do something before I get to bed because
Yeah.
maybe I'm nocturnal. That's when things are best for me. Or I'll try get some 25 minutes during my lunch break, or I'll do this. I'll pass by the library after work and set aside just a few minutes twice a week or 3 times a week. So when you assess those things, you see the gray areas. And if you don't work on that, then come up with other plans, the commitment here keeps getting muscle every other time. But sit down and ask yourself, evaluate yourself, be frank with yourself. Why didn't I do A, B, C, D?
Yeah.
And put those things down, see them with your eyes.
Yeah.
And from that, now you'll be like, I think I have a better way of doing it. And
So
instead
what
of
is
having
this plan
10
then?
things.
We can.
So the plan
I'm
comes
really
this way.
challenged that you've challenged us. Must say, how much time do we spend watching movies and
Yes,
series?
yes.
Things that really add no value
True.
to our lives,
Yeah.
whereas we could sit and do 20 minutes
Yeah.
just assessing ourselves. What is
Exactly.
that plan?
Let's start with that night because this is how it should flow.
Okay.
So before you go to bed, what are you doing tomorrow? Are you
Right.
deliberate about it?
You should know before you sleep.
Yes, before you get to bed. And the environment is very key. Look at psychology. Most of the things, as you're trying to advance and solve issues in psychology, they talk about environment being a key thing. So if you want to work out tomorrow morning, before you go to bed, leave your shoes ready. The clothes that you're going to use, they're ready. So when you wake up, that's the first thing you see.
Yeah.
Because we have 5 seconds to make decision. Mel Robinson, if you have time, just go check her out. She talk about 5-second rule. And we have 5 seconds before our brain takes on the habits. Yeah. So if you, within those 5 seconds, if the first thing you do is turn on your data, what happens?
Okay.
You'll be chatting for the next 1 hour.
Okay.
So
Okay,
your
next.
environment is sorted to start with.
Right.
Then you've listed down what you need to do. If you're using
Yeah.
a laptop, is it there? Is there, I don't know, is your cable in place to the small details?
Right. So have everything in place for you
Before
when
you get to
sleep.
bed,
Okay.
make sure the environment is ready for you tomorrow morning.
All right.
So
What
when you
else
wake
do
up
we do?
tomorrow in the morning, or that time you've set aside to work, what you do, you start with number 1. You don't wake up to think about what you're doing.
Right.
You wake up to execute.
Okay.
Because yesterday, as you were listing down, let's say, I like using your example with music.
Yeah.
So let's say the first thing tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm not waking up to write, I'm waking up to look, where is this inspiration coming from?
Right.
So do I need to study a book? Do I need to work on a Bible? Do I need to revisit some areas? Do I
Okay.
need to study a certain topic?
Wow, Paul,
You
I'm
get?
sorry. I'm going to have to cut
Yeah.
you short today because
It's okay.
this topic can go on for
Yeah,
so long.
yeah.
But I think there's certainly a nugget that we can walk away
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Just something to even implement tomorrow.
Yeah.
So tonight, let's all make sure we know what we're doing tomorrow morning so that we're waking up to execute. That's
Keep them
going to be
3.
the word.
Don't
for
go
the
beyond
day.
3 things.
3 things.
Keep it simple. Make sure environment is ready.
And assess
actually,
yourself.
there's something that comes from doing things. There's some satisfaction and
Right.
self-belief that comes.
Great.
with it.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm so sorry our time is up. I need to go. Asanteni sana to all of you for being a part of the show. There was someone here at alisema nisalimie crew nzima. That's Purity. Crew, mmesalimiwa na Purity. Asanteni sana for being a part of the show. Let's do this again tomorrow at 8 a.m. God bless you and have a wonderful day. Stay warm and stay safe out there. Ciao.